Welcome to episode 35 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary, with Kristen
and Catherine, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club where we take one book a month and dive into all the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Catherine.
So, because it is the end of October and Halloween's literally days away, and Halloween is my favorite holiday, I figured we should talk about Halloween costumes, whatever we feel like, really. Whatever comes up.
Great idea. Yeah, I love
Yeah, same. Do you have a plan for Halloween costume this year?
it. Unsure as of yet. So as you know, if you've been a listener, you've probably heard me mention that I am a teacher. I am technically a member of 3 different departments at school. I'm in the French department, I'm in the English department, and I'm also in the social studies department.
Mm,
Um, just because that's my course load. So
yeah.
at our school, each department likes to dress up as like a
Yeah.
group costume. So we're still in talks in the English department on what we want to do. There was some stuff thrown around about maybe being like fairy tale characters because the plan eventually is to get kids to write fractured fairy tales.
Cool.
So like it would tie in nicely to that. Um, or they want English muffins. They might and like get cardboard and like we could be English muffins.
Yeah.
Um, horror movie characters, just famous literary heroes, all that.
Mm-hmm.
French department. Apparently, last year they were because this is my first year at this school. Last year they were French toast.
Oh, cute.
So they had like little cardboard toast cutouts around them.
Mm.
So I don't know what we're going to be this year, but I also don't know which department I'm going to be a part of,
Yeah, that's hard.
right? Because technically I'm mostly in the social studies department. 4 out of my 7 courses are social studies courses,
Mm.
but the socials department doesn't do anything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So like I don't know. So like I don't know. And there's a little bit of a rivalry between the two, like French versus English.
Yeah, of
Um
course.
so yeah, I don't actually know what the plan is. I do have a Sanderson sister costume from Hocus Pocus
Nice.
that I was going to break out. The only issue I have with that is you've got Winifred, Mary, and Sarah. So Sarah is sort of the pretty one and also the one with sort of the best outfit, arguably, but she's also blonde. So, like, I feel like in order for people to know that you are dressing up as her, you need to be blonde. I'm not
Mm.
blonde. I'm a brunette. Mary is the brunette. So, like, in hindsight, I feel like I probably should have ordered that costume just to make myself recognizable. But I liked Sarah's costume. I like that other costume better, like the
Yeah.
look of it. So that's the one I got. But I don't want to wear a wig or anything. So, like, if I'm going to wear that costume, I don't know if anyone's going to know who I am.
Yeah. Like, could you like powder your hair lighter?
No. Unless I try and get some of that blonde spray. Like I
Yeah,
could do
the hairspray stuff. I've
yeah,
used like the black and the green before.
I remember. um but yeah, so like I'll definitely wear something when I'm answering the door for trick-or-treaters. Like it's usually what I
Oh yeah.
do. And then wear something else at school. Last year, was it last year? No, maybe 2 years ago. I was a latte.
Oh, cute.
So that was fun. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
like cardboard wrapped around me and then like a little brown bit in the middle to like show to be like the holder, and then like someone printed off like a big Starbucks logo and put in the center, and then we got um tissue paper and put that around the top as like the foam, like the fluff.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then we said that we were like French vanillas or something like that, because for French
French
department sort of thing.
department. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that's the
cute.
plan. Yeah.
Nice.
What are
I
you
don't
doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing this year. I feel like obviously time is running out, but um I just I don't really have a plan, but I feel like the past few years I've kind of last minute just done something and been like,
Hmm.
okay, cool. Um
Well, I mean, we're last minute now because Halloween
exactly.
is in like 4 days.
Yes, exactly. But like I mean like day of just being like find some cat ears and like uh well, last year I was a timber cat, and I don't know if anyone watches Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beast on Netflix, but when the random button first came out on Netflix where you could just press it and it would play something,
Hmm.
that show started playing for me and Jeff. And so we ended up watching, I don't know how many seasons there are, like 2 or 3, and it's a kids show. So we watched the whole thing. So then I was what is a timber cat, which was just like cats in this world, but they wear plaid and they have axes and they wear like hats. And I was like, this is my costume. Obviously, nobody knew who the fuck I was, but it's fine. So it's gonna be, it's gonna be like this year will probably be the same. I was kind of thinking maybe a Viking, just throw something
Oh,
together,
yeah.
do some
That'd be cool.
braids. Already got a shaved head on one side, so I
Yeah,
was
that would
like,
be very cool. Yeah, I can see
yeah,
you Viking it up.
yeah. So that's kind of like in the back of my mind of just like figure that out from what I own. But it's
Hmm.
like I don't often buy things for costumes just because I used to do like ages ago, I feel like, but now I'm just like, I'll just pick something out of what's in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my plan ish for now. I don't even really know what we're doing. But obviously on actual Halloween to answer the door and stuff, I normally just like will either like put on a witch's hat and some witch makeup or like put on a scarecrow outfit or like cat thing. So definitely will dress up for the actual day for trick-or-treaters, and I will the week like this weekend basically. But yet to be determined what I will dress up as.
Yeah. I remember actually we went out for Halloween one year and it was probably one of my most it was a costume fail for me, but I loved your costume because you were Celine from
Mm.
the Underworld franchise. And I remember we went out, we had to go stand out on my back deck because
Yes.
you have blonde hair. Like
Yes.
dirty blonde, but blonde.
Yeah.
And Celine, if anybody has seen the Underworld movies, she is a vampire. She's always dressed in a latex onesie
Yeah.
and like platform boots. She's badass and she's got black, like jet black hair. So that's what we went out on my deck and I literally you bent over and I literally just went shh,
Yeah.
shh, and I hairsprayed you with that black hairspray hair. And it was hilarious and so fun. And your costume was great. I, however, thought it would be really cute to dress up as a bee, so it gave me an excuse to like put on a slinky little black dress.
Hmm.
And then I thought it would be really cool to like go to the hardware store, get yellow duct tape. And I thought that it would be smart to wrap my black dress with stripes of yellow duct tape all the way around me. And I was like, of course this is going to work. And then I have my little like antenna.
Yeah.
It did not work in the slightest. I still don't
Yeah.
really understand why it didn't work, but it didn't. So you and I went to this party and you looked like great. And I was like pathetic in my black dress with like pieces of tape falling off of me. It was wonderful.
It
But
happens.
but still a fun time.
Yeah, I find I always get an idea of what a costume will look like in my mind, and then like the
Mhm.
actual what you make, you're like, ah, shit. And like the year I was Celine, I got contacts, but
Yeah.
I got colored contacts, but I didn't get prescription colored contacts. So I put in contacts so I had the right color eyes, but then I couldn't really see for the rest of the night because I didn't have glasses or contacts in. Anyway, very dumb, but that's what happens when we were that age, really.
Yeah, I know. We were so adventurous.
Yes,
Now it's like, I'm gonna stay home. Wah, wah.
always. Yep. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. Just a heads up, we're not a spoiler-free zone, and things might get a little saucy. So this is our last week of the Ex Hex by Erin Sterling, and we're doing chapters 26 to 35. Last week we kind of ended off. We found out that the witch who gave Vivi the Eurydice
Eurydice?
candle, Eurydice, who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Um, the candle that caught the ghost was really just a human. She wasn't even a witch. She was just trying to make a quick buck on magical and strange things, which also explains why she got Vivian to do it instead of doing it herself. Vivi goes to Rhys to explain her mistake, and they end up naked. And he finally has an orgasm or two. So good for him.
Woo! Yeah.
Getting
Because he's had blue balls the past few interactions. Like,
yes, exactly. But she's gotten off, so I'm here for it.
yeah.
So I think last week we were saying how like it ended pretty abruptly, but then the start of this week is like a week has passed, and I was just kind of surprised that the way of the pacing of the book, and I think we kind of talked about the pacing before, how it's like it's a fast, easy read, but it was kind of like a jump that I wasn't expecting. It felt abrupt, maybe. But anyway, a week's passed, and we're in Rhys's head, and he reveals that he's seen her naked multiple times since, I guess, their first naked foray in the Dracula room. Um, they're getting ready for the fall fair, and Vivi is wearing like a super cute witch's outfit. She like has the hat, striped tights, all of it, and Rhys finds it super adorable. He worries about how he will ever get enough of her. Each time he still wants her again, which seems normal. I don't know, other than like one night stands or people that are like don't want relationships at all. That like doesn't seem abnormal.
No,
But
not at the beginning. Even if this is technically like a reconnect,
yeah,
like I would still call that normal.
yeah, agreed. Um, he does think about how they've already said like this is gonna end kind of thing, like it's gonna be over soon, and he's gonna go back to wherever he was living, because he wasn't living near his father. I don't know where he was living before, but
I think it said that he had a flat in London.
oh, smart.
I think I'm like, don't quote me on that if you read it and they tell you something different. I have a vague inclination that he had a flat in London.
No, I'll buy that. I'm gonna
It
take that
sounds
to the
it
grave now.
sounds plausible.
It does. Uh, but he says they're just doing it kind of to get it out of their system because there's no future here, which is like they always say that in romance books, and I always roll my eyes super hard. Um, so
Yeah.
obviously, the two of them are still getting ready for the fall fair, but he's distracted by her outfit, and they start to feel each other up a little. But Vivi says that they have to get to the fair on time, or her aunt will kill them. So, of course, while she's basically saying this, she pushes him to his knees, and she's wearing like thigh high stockings, even though he thought that they were tights, but there is no crotch. Um,
So wait, is she not wearing panties either? She just like vagina straight out there, like catching the air?
I think she might. I think she was wearing underwear, but he was just surprised that like
Yes, they
He
didn't
didn't
go all the way
pull
out.
down her tights. Like, if he actually, like, it would have been a bit of a struggle to have to, like, pull down her striped tights and then move her panties to the side. It's like, at that point, when you're in a hurry, you're like, oh, I don't think we can get this done quickly. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and they didn't, though. They didn't get it done quickly anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I love that though she takes charge and like pushes him to his knees. Like, you
Yes.
know, like we both know what you're about, what you're gonna do. And
Yeah.
just another instance of where he's a little eager beaver.
He is
Like
very much.
he's here for it.
Yeah. Um yeah, a lot of times when anybody ends up on their knees, it's always the girl. So
Yes.
it is
It's
refreshing.
so refreshing. I love
Yeah.
it. I love that she has the confidence and he has the like he's like, "Yes, let's go. Let's do it." Like and
Yeah.
I love that she has the confidence to be like, "Yes, I know what you're about to do." I just
Yeah.
love it. And I like and I don't mean like I love it in general. I mean, it's not often that it happens in books,
Mhm. Or
right?
movies or shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, in terms of fiction, like, the woman is not often the one to take charge, and a woman's pleasure is often considered secondary,
Yes. And
right?
yeah, it's the whole like getting on your knees thing is usually a woman getting on her knees.
Mhm.
And there's a few books that we read where it's really not that way. And usually it's a Rhys. So
Shh.
sorry. Sorry. uh, anyway.
Yes, it does seem, though, that that name does tend to appreciate the taste of a woman.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been
That's
reading
true.
a lot of Nora Roberts lately, so, like, this is her flowery language is in my
The
brain.
taste of a woman. Yeah, for sure. He does ask her if she really cares about being late, though, and she says not at all. And then it is a fade to black, and we cut to the next scene, and
I'm so
they're
I'm so
I
disappointed
I
about it.
know I wanted to hear about it,
Yeah.
um, but they're an hour late, and I'm like, Reese's knees must hurt. um, but when they finally show up, I guess Gwen is waiting in the parking lot, and she says that she knows why they're late and that they're gross, which is like she she always knows. Like, I think she has a radar for when people have had sex around her. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
cute.
yeah, I'm fine with it. I do not have that same radar, so I appreciate that she does.
Yes, that's fair. I don't think I really do either. Um, Vivi and Gwen are at the booth now. It's, I guess, a little bit later, and they're selling things from the shop. And Rhys comes back with pies for them all. And of course, they're amazing, to the point that Rhys is like, I'm going to leave you for the woman who makes these. And Vivi replies that she's 90. But it's just such a like, it's such a joke that you would make with like a girlfriend. It's very much not a joke you make with someone that you're just getting it out of your system with. Um anyway.
I love I love how like annoyed you are about that.
Yeah.
We're just getting it out of our systems. Like I love how annoyed you are about it.
Which is so ridiculous because it's like every book. You wouldn't be able to have a book if they were just like, okay, let's live together and everything is fine. Like, obviously, they can't do that. But I'm going to be annoyed with it. So that's just where we are. Um, so Rhys asks about the tarot cards that they're selling. And Gwen kind of tells him that she made them. They're hand drawn ones,
Mhm.
and they're bestsellers. And then she offers to read his cards to see if they can find something out about the curse, which is definitely, I was interested to see what happened.
Mhm.
Um, so apparently, we get a bit more on the curse and the last week because they time jumped there. They had been looking into it, but uh, obviously, as we've heard the last few weeks, there's a lot more about how to cast curses and stories of them being cast than there is about taking them off. Like, there's nothing about how to break a curse, which seems really irresponsible. um,
Yes.
Gwen says that she's doing a past, present, future spread of her tarot cards. The present card is the star, which is Vivi's face, which is like, obviously, that's
Mm-hmm.
very much in line. The past card was lovers, which kind of also makes sense. And the future is the emperor card. And Gwen kind of starts saying that it means authority. And Rhys says it's his father. And she's like, oh, yeah, that could make sense. But he's like, no, I mean, he's here. And they like all look over and he's walking towards them. So very, very near future, I guess, for this spread.
Yeah.
Elaine is walking up behind Rhys's father, and they all end up going back to Elaine's house to get some tea. Simon is about to drink the tea, but stops himself since their family did curse his son and all. So he's like not going. He's afraid to be poisoned, which, as we know, is ridiculous.
Oh, and like Simon is
Yes,
Reese's
sorry.
dad's name. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, his dad is pissed. He meets the talking cat and has clearly heard about a lot of the shit going down, and he's not impressed. And like I said, I think last week, I would be super impressed with a talking cat.
Yes.
Very big fan.
And he's adorable, that little talking cat.
I
It's
know, I
so
love him.
cute. I can't believe he's not impressed with it. I'd just be like, I'm gonna take you home.
Yes, exactly. Uh, he's just pissed about his family legacy being tarnished.
Ugh.
And it's all so like he's very much in the past and he very much worries about his legacy and his name, and it's, I don't know, he's just annoying, really.
Yes.
They do tell him that they're researching and trying to figure out how to break the curse, and he kind of scoffs at them and he's like, curses are complicated, you can't find the answers in books. And I'm like, at this point I was just kind of like yelling at the book to be like, tell him what the ghost said. Like, the ghost was like, it's a Penhallow curse and they need to pay. It's not just that Vivi cursed him. Like, I don't know why they didn't tell him that, because maybe he'd have some more information, who knows.
Yeah.
Simon does explain, though, that curses can't be removed with any like one solution. Each solution is dependent on the curse and the motivation behind it. He says that he would have told Rhys that if he had called him, which, if we all remember in the beginning, he did call him, and Simon said that he couldn't be cursed. Like, so really dumb. But obviously, Wells told his father about the curse, or his father would not have shown up.
Mm-hmm.
One can assume. Elaine interrupts the discussion, since it like very easily could have turned into a fight, and says that like that is helpful information about the curse, like knowing that each curse can be broken and the solution is independent on the curse, is definitely more than they knew before, which is also probably the reason why you can't find any information in books, because there is no like one answer fits all. Simon does ask what they've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and
Each other.
exactly. um, and I guess Rhys kind of says that they've been dealing with some of the issues that came up because of the curse, which is true. But Rhys does say he does feel guilty because he knows he should have been putting in more work to remove the curse than they were. But obviously, he was so easily distracted by Vivi, which is what you just said. Simon then asks Elaine if there is a power source around that they could have pulled from, like an ancestor buried there. And Elaine says that Ilwyd Jones was buried nearby, I guess. And she came over to this town around the same time, or at the same time, as Griffith Penhallow did. and she explains that there's nothing really special about her. She just immigrated at the same time, and she died of like a random sickness. And something flickers in Simon's face, and I think it's Rhys's point of view, and like he sees that his father either knows more or knows something. Like there's clearly more to it all.
Which is also funny because, again, like a lot of things in this book, we never hear about this again.
What?
Like the fact that his dad knows something.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's
Like
true.
that is never brought up again.
Yeah, exactly. Like we do find out more about the background a little later on today. But yeah, we don't hear what his dad actually knew or anything about that, which is
Nope.
dumb. um Simon decides he can figure everything out better at home. So he like looks at Rhys and he's like, "Come on, we're leaving right now." And he wants him to come with him so he can like study the effects of the curse and figure out how to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Reese is kind of hurt that all his father cares about is the magic. He wants him to come home so that he can study him, not for his well being. Um, or at least that's what he says out loud. Like I'm sure he has some paternal feelings for his son. One would hope, but anyway, he's not very outward with them. And obviously, Reese wants to stay in Graves Glen.
With Vivi.
Exactly. Uh, so he basically just tells his dad, "No, I'm not coming back with you." And he's like, "Whatever, fine. You
Yeah,
stay here."
he wasn't hard to convince
I know it was very, I really expected
him to put
it
up a
to,
fight.
yeah, or like drag him back kicking and screaming. Like I get he's in his 30s, but like I could still see his dad doing that.
Well, especially since we've been led to believe that his dad is such a huge like hard ass,
Hmm.
right? So like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just tracks that way and it seems like he's not following through on his hard assery.
Yeah, I completely agree. I wonder if he's, again, we never get more on it, but I wonder if it's because he's distracted by what they said. But we will never know. Um,
Hmm.
Simon does also say, in a bit of a dick moment, that he hopes that Rhys doesn't distract the Joneses, I guess, from the important business of selling crystals and novelty T-shirts. And you're like, what an asshole! Like, is that really necessary?
I
Um,
mean, it's not.
No, it just seems very shitty of him. Like
He
he
just
clearly looks down on them.
yes. Which and to be fair though, the college witches do the same, right? Because apparently that's part of the reason why they're sort of at odds
Mm, with
with
them.
Aunt Elaine, right?
Yeah.
Because she's choosing this like this route of like sort of profiting off of the I don't know, the economic portion of witchcraft.
Hmm.
And like it seems like they are not respected by many people in their social groups.
Yeah. Yeah, they are kind of like outcasty because of
Yeah.
it. But it's also like this whole community is funded on this like not belief, but this myth, I would say, about witches. So why wouldn't they profit off of it?
Yeah.
Like I think everybody should be profiting off of it. Really.
Well, like I wonder if maybe they feel like it's making a mockery of their actual beliefs.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like
I
I almost
do.
I see it as being similar to like a Christian being outraged that a store sells like Jesus bobbleheads.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's how I sort of like keep it in my head.
I know, but then it's also like that only makes sense if I don't even know how to work that. No, I can't with the Jesus analogy. I was like, that only makes sense if Jesus wasn't real. But then I'm like, but that's not even what I mean because anyway, so many people believe in Jesus that I don't. It's not equivalent to the amount of people that believe in witches.
Maybe.
Maybe in that town it is though.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. I don't think any of it's like I mean, I would love the idea of that store. I would go in and I would buy everything,
Oh, exactly.
right? So like that's probably the appeal,
Yeah. I
right?
yeah, I think so too. But I get it being like they're not taking it seriously as I
Yeah.
feel like what they're all thinking, but it's like they're just making a living.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just just let a group of females make a living, man.
Yeah, really though.
God.
uh, Vivi kind of agrees that that's what they do, but then she also tells him that they are the witches who cursed his son without him knowing. So maybe he should back off.
I love it.
I do too. But I'm also like, I'd be a bit worried that he would retaliate right now. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
I don't
surprised by how calm and not calm, but how non confrontational, maybe. I don't know.
I agree. Like he's been portrayed as this like super dick,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised he didn't like get more aggressive, but maybe he realizes that he's on their turf, so maybe he doesn't want to
Yeah.
like confront them at this juncture.
Yeah. Maybe.
I
Um,
don't know, man. Like
I yeah, it's a bit odd, but
it's a
obviously she
bit
needed to
dicey.
get yeah, she needed to get a quip in at him because obviously she needs to look not afraid of
Yeah.
his father, and it's like a whole moment for them.
Yeah. So Reese can fall even more in love with her every minute.
Exactly. So his father leaves and tells Reese to take care of himself, and he replies that he always has, which is like such a cheesy line, but I get it.
Hmm.
Vivi follows Reese home and he asks her to stay. He thanks her for coming back with him and standing up to his father. And she says that he's not that scary, which is a lie that he does call her out on. Um, but she ends up staying, and we have another fade to black. Boo hoo. But later, though,
I just want to say, I'm sad that we get so many fade to blacks. Like, I want to see them having sex everywhere.
yeah, exactly. And like we had a week of, I've seen her naked multiple times in the last week.
Tell us.
Yeah, we're here for the sex.
Yeah, it's true. If you're reading a romance book, why else are you here?
Yeah. Anyway, later they're in the tub together,
Ugh.
and I not a fan.
I don't know. I just find it weird. Like, I don't like a tub. I don't like a bathtub on my own.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I personally can't wrap my head. Not that I can't wrap my head around it. I can, but like sitting in your own, like, I don't know. I just can't. So
yeah.
like doing it with someone else in there too. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of baths, and then I'm a fan of.
Sharing baths.
No, you kind of need a big enough bath. Like you need one of those baths that are in hotel rooms that are actually jacuzzis. Like you need a bath that is.
So like my bath.
Yes, I would never do it in my house. I have a bigger bath, but it's still like a one personage
Yeah.
bath. Although when we first got the house, when our hot tub didn't work, we did get in it together. But um,
Woo!
yeah, but
I mean, what are you gonna do? Get in it separately? Like, I don't. It's a hot
get,
tub. It's made
no,
for. It's made for you to get in it together.
no, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said before the hot tub, we got in the bathtub together.
Oh, I thought you. The way you said it, you said before our hot tub worked, we did get in it together, and I thought you meant the hot tub didn't work, but you still got in it.
No,
And
it would have been very cold.
I'm like, well, yes, you're not gonna get in it alone.
Yes. And then I was like, you don't get in your bathtub alone. Anyway, so back to their tub. Apparently, it's got like the claw feet on it, which
Love it.
I do love. And it's burgundy, which
Oh,
is interesting.
I don't
Oh,
love.
I feel like the soap stains on that are just not going to age well. Anyway, it's huge, and I guess it's probably more like a jacuzzi than just a tub, but whatever. Vivi tells Rhys that his father is just worried about him, but he obviously disagrees. Um, but he doesn't really get into it. Like, he's just happy to have Vivi in his life for as long as he can, to have someone care about him. And like, you can tell that there's really a lot strained in his relationship with his father that is really holding him back, I think,
Yeah.
from relationships and life and stuff. Like, he's clearly missing some parental love and unconditional love, probably. I feel like he's got some childhood trauma, probably, that is still with him. Vivi wakes up the next morning. So again, we don't get the, not tub sex, because like I don't think that's that probably that good. I don't think they had sex in the tub, but we don't know. They might have. Who knows? We don't know. That's the point. Vivi wakes up the next morning thinking about what Simon said and realizes that they really haven't been paying enough attention to the curse. They've been busy screwing around. And she's like, it's the day before Halloween now. So like, a lot of time has passed and they really haven't done anything productive about the curse. So she goes downstairs and Rhys is already there and he's dressed and he has travel mugs of coffee, and he tells her that they have an errand to run. And she's like a little shocked at how prepared he is for 7 a.m. And like, so am I. I don't think I'd sleep through someone getting up, going downstairs and bashing around in the kitchen getting coffees.
I might. It depends on how tired I am.
Yeah, I might like just not get out of bed, but I don't think I would not hear it. So they both get in the car or whatever, leave the house and head towards like north out of Graves Glen. So they're leaving the town. Vivi is like staring at Rhys's forearms as he drives. And I think I've said it before, but I do love a guy's forearm when they roll up
You
his
love a,
shirt.
yeah, I know. It's yeah,
It's
forearm.
so
It's such
attractive.
an, but it's also such an unappreciated part, right? Like, if someone says, "Well, what part of the body turns you on?" You don't often say forearms,
No, you don't.
but it is actually a part that's like, ooh, you know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
you see them roll it. I don't know. It is something that you're like, yeah, but you don't
Yeah.
like think about it. Everyone thinks of like the butt or like the shoulders or the
Yeah.
abs. You know
Shoulders.
what I mean?
A wide
Shoulders.
chest.
Yeah, shoulders are a thing. Like,
Hmm.
shoulders.
But like the
Let's go.
inconspicuous one, yeah, the inconspicuous ones, like the forearms, are ones that you can see without them being naked.
Yeah.
Or like,
Hands too.
yes, yeah,
Hands are good.
yeah. So, forearms aside, uh, Rhys finally,
Never.
exactly.
Never
Um,
forearms aside.
unless they're pulling your panties aside. Sorry. uh, Rhys finally tells her that they're going to let Piper's ghost out of the candle. And can I just say, fucking finally. But like, also, this is what we've been saying the whole book, basically. Like, talk to
Listen to
Piper's
the
ghost. Like,
ghost.
what
She
the
wanted
fuck?
a, like, right. She wanted a book from the library. They didn't even care. She was like trying to talk to them. They just shoved her in a candle and let her go. Like, just
Yeah.
talk to her, man.
Well, yeah, she's like saying he took something that wasn't his. And they're like, no, he didn't. And it's like, oh, just listen. Shut the fuck up for a second. uh, yeah. Obviously, the ghost knows more, and they needed to do this
Yes.
ages ago.
Yeah.
Kind of like you, Vivi was a bit shocked by this proclamation of we're going to let the ghost out. She's like, A, we don't have the candle. B, the ghost is scary. So you're like, yes, that makes sense. Rhys kind of admits that he couldn't sleep after seeing his father. So he tried to think of like any leads they had on the curse, and he remembered Piper. And
How
maybe
could you
they,
forget? How can you forget a ghost that attacked you, went through your body, and caused you to fall over?
I guess it's easier than you would think.
Uh,
No, it's
sure.
really dumb. It's for the
Sure.
story. It's a
Sure.
plot point.
I
Uh,
just can I just say I wish and it's in all books. I get it. Like I understand. There
mhm.
needs to be plot for there to be a book. Fully understand. I just
Yeah.
wish sometimes that it wasn't so not smart. Like I wish it was just sometimes a bit more realistic.
Yes, more intuitive of what you would actually do if you were
Yes.
in that situation. Like, you
Yes.
wouldn't put a ghost in a candle without saying, "What do you mean? He took
Yeah.
something. What did he take? Please
Or
explain that to me."
yes. And now in saying that, maybe if I was faced with a ghost and I could put it away, I'd be like, "Oh, put it away." And I would
It's true. Oh my god,
right?
it's terrifying.
Like light it, hurry up. But like again, I feel like at some point make good choices and like I just keep going back to the book. If I saw somebody struggling to get a book off a shelf with their see-through hands and then they disappeared, I would be like, bitch, I'm gonna check out that book and see what's going on. What book does this ghost want so badly?
Yeah.
Like, just I don't know, just But again, I get that it's plot based. I understand that it needs to happen. I still like the book immensely, so like I'm
Yeah.
not mad at it. It's just
Mhm.
I feel like so many books people do things stupid things for stupid reasons just to progress the plot, and I just wish sometimes that that didn't
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
In saying that, I would be terrified if I was faced with a ghost.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know how we would actually react in that situation because we're not going to be in that situation. If we are, we won't have a fucking candle to light. We're going to be
No.
screwed.
Yes, that is true. Although we
Salt
both
circle.
salt circle and we both have our anti-demon possession tattoos, I think we'd
Yes.
make out better than the regular
Than the
human.
muggles.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So obviously he's like, she was a lead. We didn't like follow through to the end. And you're like, ugh.
Yes. It's like, yes, you're right.
But
Ugh.
he says that I guess in the night he had his brother track Tamsin since his brother isn't cursed and can actually do magic. Um,
Is Tamsin a first name?
yes.
That's such a weird first name. Sorry if anybody out there is named Tamsin. I've never heard of it before.
Me neither. No. I'm like,
Although, can I just say, so we have a Rhys and we have a
mhm.
Tamsin, which is very close to Tamlin. Like,
Yes.
do we think Erin Sterling read A Court of Thorns and Roses? Did she
Mhm.
pull an ACOTAR?
I think so.
You think she did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we've established that.
Yeah. But I don't think it's like following the storyline or anything. I think she just
No.
like borrowed the name.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah. Like I think that she read it and she was like, yeah, I do like the name Reese. Which, you got to get your inspiration for names somewhere. Naming people is fucking hard.
Yeah.
But he says that he had his brother track Tamsin, which is interesting because, like, how do you track somebody when you're nowhere near them?
I don't know.
I don't really understand that. But anyway, he figures it out. He tracks her, and she's only 2 towns over. So they're going to pay her a visit and hope that she still has the candle and hasn't sold it yet. They show up at I was going to say at an Airbnb, but it's just a B&B.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the spell said that Tamsin would be. They go in, and Vivi is worried about like how they'll actually find her, but she says that she underestimated Rhys's charm, and it seems like he might be able to get the person at the desk to tell them where Tamsin is, but like serendipitously, maybe. It's not the first word I would think of, but it's the first word that just came to my head. She walks out from her room and she's like, super happy to see them and invites them up to her room, and like they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But they
It's like,
follow her.
hey, I conned you, but hey.
Yeah, she's like super excited to see them, which is just kind of funny. You're like,
Yeah.
why though? But it all gets explained in due time.
Mm-hmm.
They follow her upstairs and she opens the door to her room and it's freezing in there, even though there's apparently like a fire in and everything. She ushers Vivi and Rhys inside and they see the candle that they were looking for. That's a name I can't say. Uh, and she says that they have to help her. Um, Vivi is hesitant, of course, because Tamsin lied to her in the beginning. Like, she asked her to give her one reason, like, why they should actually help her. And Tamsin debates lying, but she's like, whatever. She tells them she just wanted to make some money
Mm-hmm.
and she would have, but there's clearly something wrong with this candle. It isn't acting like they normally do. So clearly, this isn't the first time that she's dealt with this, but this one she can't sell because it's not acting normal, and like it's dark and it's cold and it's getting worse and worse. So you can't sell that to somebody. Like, where are they going to put it? I guess they could have a room for it, but then what's the point?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I feel like Vivi and I'm glad actually Vivi is hesitant because if she had thought of this the first time around,
mhm.
then maybe they wouldn't have had to go chasing down the candle to begin with. So
Yeah,
like I'm glad she's being hesitant because I would also be like, "Bitch, what you talking about?
yeah.
Like why are you so happy to see us?" Like I would think something was fishy.
Oh, for sure. I would think that she was trying to con you into something else. Like,
Yes, yeah,
that's
100%.
yeah. Um, so Vivi does go near the candle because obviously, like we said, she is wary of what the fuck is going on. But she can feel the negative energy off of it. And she knows that like it is Piper's ghost and the troubledness about it. And I guess this is like why they said that they bind troubled ghosts in the beginning, or whenever they were talking to the headmaster of the witchy side of campus, headmistress, dean.
Oh, Aberthnot.
Yes, that's the one.
Such an
So
odd name. And guys, I could be butchering it. Maybe it's Arbuthnot, or maybe it's you don't pronounce the th. I don't know, but from how we read it, it's Aberthnot.
yeah,
It's such an odd name.
yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, but sorry, yeah, apparently the candles, these kinds of candles, you're not supposed to be able to feel the ghost or feel anything. You should just have kind of a candle and there's a spirit in there. It's like a funny little prank. Not actually, but they ask why Tamsin didn't leave yet, and she says that she can't really take the candle on a plane since it's so dark and cold and negative feeling that like people would obviously notice. And she was trying to figure out what to do with it, and then they showed up. So Vivi and Rhys agree to take it, but they act reluctant, even though this is like exactly what they wanted. Um, Rhys asks Vivi if they can get a room since it didn't take nearly as long as he expected. But obviously, they've
Love
got
it.
shit to do. They can't just take the candle into the room with them. That would be a bit awko.
It would be a bit of a mood killer, wouldn't it? It's like
Yeah.
freezing cold, and it's like, hey, baby, want to do it in front of this ghost?
Here's some negative energy. Hey. Um, so they just bring the candle back to Graves Glen and bring it to her aunt. Elaine decides that they need to do this kind of magic at night. So that night, they go out into the woods and Elaine puts a salt circle around the candle. So salt circles work, kids.
I also don't understand why magic like that has to be done at night. Wouldn't you feel safer to do it in the day?
Yeah, I don't really understand that. They're like, dark magic is nighttime.
No, do it in
Obviously.
the daytime. It's less scary.
Watch scary movies during the day. Um, so I guess they're all there, and Gwen comments on how metal it is that they're like releasing a ghost, but she's wearing pumpkin pajamas, which I just think is absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
Elaine, yeah, Elaine thinks that Piper might talk to them since they are fellow witches, so she tells Rhys to kind of like move back a bit
Mm.
and stay out of sight since Piper hated him, and has attacked him before, which makes sense. Vivi does worry that Piper won't like her because she's the one who caught her in the candle, which also makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vivi is the one who lights the candle, and Piper appears, blasting like bluish light over them all. And she looks around at them and asks if they're a coven. And Vivi says yes. And the ghost recognizes her and knows that she was with a Penhallow. And she
Yeah.
agrees that she was and says that she was with Rhys and that she is the one who cursed Rhys. So kind of feels like she's trying to make a rapport with the ghost here.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you hate him. Hey, I cursed him. I'm with him, but I'm not with him.
Yeah. Even though she probably just had sex with him like 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Do you think a ghost can smell that? Because I know we've talked about
I know.
other books when like other species can like smell. You can smell the male on, like you can smell the
Ugh.
male scent on them, and like, do you think ghosts can do that?
I don't know. I hope not. But Piper does say that it wasn't Vivi who cursed him. She knows the magic surrounding him, and it definitely wasn't just Vivi. It was also, I just said this name and I've lost it. Aelwyd? Elwyd? Aelwyd?
I
Aelwyd.
don't know how.
I don't even know how I just pronounced it. That's where I am as a person. I'll say Aelwyd Jones. So that's the
Ale
magic
and
that.
I I think Aylwyd is appropriate. It's a Welsh name. So
Mhm.
guys, if anybody knows Welsh, it's Aelwyd. So we're pronouncing that like Aylwyd. I have no idea if that's correct.
Mhm.
But it also seems like her last name is so simple compared to the first name.
I know. Yes,
Aylwyd
it's very
Jones.
it's very like common last name like Smith, Jones,
Yeah.
like they're the ones that are on the
Yes.
credit card commercials.
Yeah.
um so she can feel that it's Aelwyd's magic that is surrounding Rhys or was surrounding Rhys. Um so she's the one that actually cursed the Penhallows. Um Piper says that there is other magic in this town and that the Penhallows stole Aelwyd's magic and she deserves revenge. Um, Elaine says that her ancestors never had that kind of power because obviously that's what she's been taught. But
Mhm.
Piper explains that Aelwyd did, and Griffith stole it and erased her name, which is like typical white guy.
Yeah, right? God. But like I'm I'm unhappy that it is Piper, a 90s grunge witch ghost, who figured this out and not her own family. Like, I'd be
Yeah,
pissed off too if my
yeah.
own family didn't bother looking me up and then some rando was like, hey, I know you've been slighted.
Yeah, and you gotta wonder how she did figure it out because
Yes.
I think we realize like Piper was killed trying to summon her, so she didn't talk to the ghost before she was killed. She found all this out through research, one would assume, and like if she can research it as a 20-something-year-old student in the 90s, her family should have been able to look into their past a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
Rhys, also being a white guy,
Yep.
steps forward, I guess, to talk to the ghost. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is not the time. You're going to piss the ghost off. Rhys asks how all of that happened. And the
Mm-hmm.
ghost obviously notices him and is pissed and goes to fly at him again. But Vivi steps in front of him and she accidentally steps into the salt circle and breaks it, which
Of course.
exactly. I'm like, are you
God.
fucking kidding me? Um,
Like, if you're gonna avoid anything, avoid the friggin' salt.
right? Like, you don't break the circle. That's the one thing keeping everything contained. It's not very smart.
It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Vivi is pulled into Piper's memories, though, and she sees Piper trying to summon Aelwood, and that is what killed her, like I said a few seconds ago. Um, she says that Piper wasn't strong enough to break the bonds holding Aelwood. So I'm assuming that means that Griffith did some magic on her ghost body bones after she died or something like that. I don't really like there's magic holding her, binding her ghost or something like that, I guess.
But didn't it say that, like, when you die of dark magic, like, your ghost does need to be bound in some way?
Yes.
Remember,
Yes.
Dean Aberthnot said something like that, which is why Piper's ghost was also bound.
Yeah. I guess we just don't ever get an explanation as to why the ghost body has to be bound. Yeah, the ghost body. Um
Mm-hmm.
sorry, why the ghost has to be bound. Cuz
Yeah.
like I don't think they bind Piper after this. Do they? I can't really remember if they say.
They do.
Oh. Anyway. Oh yeah, cuz I'll just get on with this part of the story and we'll get to
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Um, so, so Piper wasn't strong enough to actually get to the ghost because it was bound, but Vivi was, I guess, has the familial bond and was able to like call upon the ghost spirit even though it was bound when she made the curse in her house. So it's now a blood curse because Vivi is a descendant of Aelwood. Um, Vivi asks how to break a blood curse, and Piper says that like only Aelwood can break it, but obviously she's dead.
Which is a problem.
A very big issue here. Piper also explains that Griffith killed Aelwood when he took all of her magic and power to form the ley lines, and then he just like covered it all up. So I don't know if he formed the town, like that's what this is all about. But he used Aelwood to make the ley lines and took all of her magic and all of her power. I don't know if
What
he
a what a dick.
exactly. I don't know if he put any of his magic. He must have put some of his own magic into it, I would assume.
I would think so, because otherwise, how is it that the Penhallow family has been able to replenish them all these years? So it must be like the like he they must have it must have a little bit of Penhallow in it.
Yeah, it would have to, you'd assume. Um, Piper tells them that even if they could raise Eelwood, she wouldn't break the curse because she wants the town and Griffith's legacy and all of his heirs to suffer.
And like mood.
Of course.
If
Obviously you
somebody
would.
Yeah, if somebody killed me and stole all my power to start a freaking town, I would also be equally pissed.
And nobody knew that they had murdered you and
Yes.
used all of your magic and power.
And
100%.
thought that you were just a plain Jane, like not anyone of extraordinary. Just imagine being like if he had to steal her power, think of how powerful she must have been. She must have
Hmm.
been crazy powerful. And he stole it, and then history knew her to just be ordinary and not super powerful. Like, I would be furious.
Yeah. And then like Rhys's father was like, "Oh, you're just selling trinkets in the town." And
Ugh.
you kind of think that he knows. He knows something. I don't know if
Yeah.
he knows this specifically or the extent of it, but like he knows something about it. And you're like, you're going to say that shit to the people who like are actual descendants of the magic that runs through here? Like it's
Yeah.
both, but it's mostly hers, one would assume, because
Yeah.
she fucking died.
Yes. Ugh.
Yeah,
Jackasses, the lot of them.
exactly. Uh, Piper also says that tomorrow on Samhain, which is Halloween, when the veil between life and death is the thinnest, Ilwood's magic will be the most powerful, and the town and the Penhallows will die. She said just one
Ooh.
Penhallow. Yeah, just one Penhallow, not all of them. That'd be pretty intense.
Well, I think her
Um,
reach only goes as far as the town.
exactly. And she says that it's going to happen at midnight. And yeah, it's like I said, it's only Rhys because he's the only one within that area.
Couldn't Here's what I don't understand. Couldn't he just like step outside town boundaries just for the night?
Exactly. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, if he can never step foot in Graves Glen again, so what? Like, if this is a true love, happily ever after, to keep him alive, if they want to be together, Vivi could move.
Yes. My God, if say my husband was like, if he was my husband, but say he wasn't from here and he was the love of my life, which he is, but like,
Say he was the love of my life.
say if he wasn't like from where we're from and he was the love of my life and he was like, hey, we need to like go back to where I'm from with all of these accents everywhere and like I would be like, yes, let's go. If it was a life or death situation, I'd be like, yes, absolutely. If he was the love of my life, I would go.
Agreed.
Like, I'm not even talking anymore. I'm just gesturing.
I agree with your gestures.
You know, like you do what you have to do for love.
It's true.
Unless it's toxic and then don't.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so after this whole debacle, so like that whole situation that they just figured out, like all that stuff talking about Piper, that was actually done through Vivi's mouth. Like,
Yes.
because Piper, like, came forward. Vivi stepped in between Piper and Rhys. So Piper,
And
like,
fucked up the
went
salt circle.
and fucked up the salt circle. Like, what a dumbass. Um, if anybody has learned anything, never fuck with the salt circle.
Yes.
Anyway, but so Piper essentially like ended up being absorbed temporarily into Vivi's body. So like the whole history she gave about Aylwyd and stupid name guy Penhallow,
Griffin.
Griffith, that's it.
Fair.
That was all done like through Vivi's mouth. Like Vivi was like possessed at the time,
Mhm.
temporarily. But then at the end of it, Piper like disintegrates, and I think they like sort of suggest that she's like at peace, maybe.
Yeah, so they obviously, I don't think they bound her again, which makes me wonder, like, are we
Mm-mm.
binding all of these ghosts because they have something to say? Like, why not just figure out their unfinished business? Or is
Yeah,
that just like too much work? Let's just bind them. Fuck it. You don't deserve peace.
100%. But yeah, so like they make it seem like she sort of disappears, like she's at peace.
Mhm.
Anyway, so after that, Rhys and Vivi go back to his place, which is nice.
Ooh.
Woo!
Except for.
Woo! Um, apparently she feels like crap about like because she was possessed, and apparently that takes a lot out of a person.
Maybe you should get a tattoo, never be possessed.
Right? Oh my god. So she's also like really scared about Rhys dying tomorrow.
Shouldn't be funny, and it's not.
And like but she says that like he doesn't seem worried at all. He's like going through the house whistling and like do it's fine. And she's like, dude, like you're gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he's like joking around that he wants about like what he wants his funeral to look like.
Mm-hmm.
He picked a Viking funeral, which like is a super good choice in my opinion.
Agreed.
Like if I had to pick, if it was allowed, I would also go Viking funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%. Actually, I spoke with my husband and my first
And now
choice.
it's on this, so it's like
now it's published for everyone to hear. I said I wanted like first wait like a month to make sure I'm actually dead because
Oh, Jesus Christ.
what one of
Where
my
are they
fears,
putting your body?
I don't care. Like, stick me in the basement for all I care. I don't
No,
know.
smelly.
I don't care. I just want you to make sure I'm actually dead because I have a fear of being like unceremoniously buried alive
Yeah. There'd
or
be a
cremated
ceremony, though.
or cremated you bitch. or
Sorry.
or cremated alive. I don't
Of
want to be
course, yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I said, so wait a month until they know I'm dead. I'm not
Yeah.
in a coma. I'm dead. I'm decomposing. Then you can shove me in the ocean. And then I can be food for the sea creatures of the ocean.
Yeah. I don't think that they would just shove your body in the ocean. Because then somebody would find your body and be like,
Okay.
oh my God.
Okay, but like obviously, like take me out to sea. Don't just like
Put you in the surf.
don't just like dump me in the harbor or
Oh
something
my
like that.
God. Gross.
Like take me out in a boat, like several like 100 kilometers out in the middle of the ocean, and just dump me in.
Anchor you to the bottom.
Well, I mean, maybe, but like I don't think it's necessary. I think enough animals would feed off me if I was floating too.
Yeah.
And
Well, the orca would
eventually,
come and like eat your liver.
thank God, which is
Yeah.
sort of the whole goal here.
Yeah.
It's sort
Yeah.
of my dream is to one day nourish the orca whales. Just
That's
say,
fair.
yeah.
I'll probably just get cremated and then some in the ocean and some plant a tree, normal shit.
Yeah. I would totally, if you want me to, I would totally like take you somewhere to be fed
Chum
on
sharks.
by if
But
that's what you want.
you'd
I would
you'd have to cut the body though. I think
but
that
no,
part.
but I would not. I would get somebody else to do it.
Get a butcher to do it. Okay.
Yes, I would
Okay.
say this is in her last will and testament. This is what she
Listen to this podcast. She agrees to
this is what she wanted. She wanted to become chum for sharks.
Yeah. So
I would do that for you.
What we're saying is we probably would react in the exact same rate that Rhys is reacting, and we would be like, this is what I want, a ridiculous request. And our partners would be like, are you fucking kidding me right now? You're gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyway. Besides the point, I guess.
Yep.
But still, I think second best choice after becoming food for marine animals, Viking funeral.
Yes.
It's an excellent choice.
Yep.
So he's like joking about it, like, but she doesn't like that he's kidding. She doesn't think he's taking it seriously. Especially because she still thinks this is all like her fault. And
even more so now, kind of.
Yeah. And like, fair point, it kind of is. So like it's time you started like taking responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Because like it kind of is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You mixed vodka and witchcraft. It's a terrible idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so she's worried like if they can't fix it by tomorrow, like he's gonna die, and she doesn't want him to die, so then she just starts crying. But so like he's like just whistling around the room. He's optimistic because he believes in her. Yeah.
I just don't really know why.
I don't either, but he believes in her, so that's why he's so optimistic about it. But she's like, she loves this about him because he's so optimistic about everything and he's so lighthearted and like, bitch, no. If he is joking about death minutes, like hours from death, no, don't love that about him.
But love it about
like,
us?
Yes.
I think it's more realistic. Like, I know his is more, I guess, sudden, and it's not something that, like, if you know somebody that has died slowly, they do joke about it. And it is a normal thing. So it just felt very like, a lot of people do this. I I don't know why you're getting so mad at him. But then a lot of people do get mad about it because they're like, they obviously love you and they don't want you to joke about it because they're going to be incredibly upset. So
Yeah.
both sides are completely normal, and I don't know why I'm talking anymore.
No. And to be fair, you're right. And like in real life, I wouldn't begrudge somebody if they got a diagnosis that was,
Mhm.
like bad for them. I would be like, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Deal with it however you feel you need to. Like
Mhm.
100%. But because it's a book, I feel like I
Yes.
can feel different things.
Mhm.
Anyway, so she loves his optimism, but she says this is why she knows that he's gonna keep on breaking her heart, and it's because she loves him just so darn much.
He's going to fucking die in 12 hours. Like,
Well, that's what I mean. Like, how often is he gonna break your heart if he's dead in 12 hours? That's only
yeah.
one more time.
Yeah. Also, I don't think it's midnight. So it's like it's probably like 24 hours or something, whatever.
Who
It's
cares?
like the show 24. We're literally starting the countdown from 24 right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm like, what the fuck does that? She obviously has confidence in herself solving this too because she thinks he's going to break her heart more than just when he dies
His
at midnight.
Yeah. Um anyway, she also says like she knows that they'll never work because when this is all over, he has to go home to Wales.
Why doesn't he go home
Why?
to Wales right now so that he
Why?
doesn't fucking die?
But he doesn't even need to go home to Wales. He can literally go like 20 minutes away. Go stay
I
at
know.
that B&B that Tamsin was in. Like that is
Yes.
all he has to do.
Agreed. We're very passionate about this.
But also, why does he have to go home to Wales? Why is she like, oh, he has to go home to Wales? Why? He told you he doesn't like being close to his dad.
Yeah.
Frig man. They just need to have a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, that's every book ever though.
I know it's true. One conversation does it all. Anyway, so so this sort of moment is actually a really pivotal moment for their sort of next 24 hours of relationshipness. Um, because it sort of seems like she starts to distance herself from him. So
Mhm.
like she wants him and she wants to be around him, but she's trying to distance herself to sort of minimize the pain she's going to feel when he obviously inevitably dies in her mind.
Mhm.
So she doesn't stay with him that night, like even though she really wants to, but she doesn't,
I
and she
feel
goes
like that's
a
I
mistake.
well,
Like it
it yes, a mistake, but it's also like kind of selfish, I want to say. Like if he's actually going to die tomorrow,
mhm.
I, and stay with him because he's dead tomorrow. A. If he doesn't end up dying tomorrow, then you can deal with your future after he doesn't die.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that she should like stay there and have sex with him, but like he's probably worried that he's gonna die because a ghost just fucking told him he was gonna die through her lips. Even more, like even better. But yeah, it just seems shitty.
Yes. Yes, it does. After she goes back to Aunt Elaine's house, she hangs out with Gwen. Is it Gwen or Gwyn?
I think I've
Gwyn.
been interchanging them.
Well, it's Gwyn now
Okay.
for me. Okay, so she's hanging out with Gwyn.
Oh,
Co-
it is spelled with a Y. Yes.
okay, so cousin Gwyn, she knows that Vivi is in love with Rhys, obviously.
Yeah.
And at first Vivi denies it, but like she knows if there's one person that she can tell in the world, it's Gwyn. So she starts crying again.
Which fair. She thinks that the person that she loves.
Is going to die. So
Yeah.
yes.
And
Yeah.
because they haven't had a conversation, she doesn't realize that he loves her back. So like they could both be in love right now, but they're just like, oh, we need to separate ourselves so that we don't make it worse for the other one or whatever.
But I also
Whatever.
feel like he's been very obvious about how he feels about her. I feel like if
Mhm.
she doesn't, I don't know. I can't say anything because like people do silly things when they're in love, but like I feel like he's just been obvious.
Yes, agreed.
Anyway, um so yeah, Gwen sort of like comforts her and Vivi's like, the timing is terrible because he's cursed and he's going to die tomorrow and I'm only now realizing I love him. And Gwyn sort of assures her that there's never a good time to meet your person. Like
Yeah.
you meet them and that's it. Um Odd sort of like this doesn't have any bearing on the story. It was just a silly moment. Vivi noticed that Gwen was making like weird tea. So it was listed as being black tea, spices, sugar, and orange Kool-Aid.
I don't know why you need to add sugar if you're adding orange Kool-Aid.
Like, what sort of a sick monster does that?
I'm sure that it's not that bad though. Like if you had just substituted the orange Kool-Aid in as sugar, then the adding sugar part is what really gets me, because like the orange Kool-Aid, it boils down. I'm sure it turns out fine. It can mix in with the tea and the spices and probably taste okay. But that has to be the sweetest drink in the entire fucking world.
Agreed. It reminds me of this video I saw where some missus makes a type of spaghetti. So she
Mm-hmm.
took ground meat and wrapped it around spaghetti noodles.
Yeah.
And made like sort of log and with spaghetti noodles in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then poured like tomato sauce on top. And then baked it.
Yeah.
And then took it out. And like I'm sort of here for it up till now. Like it's blasphemous in terms of pasta, but like
If
you
it
know,
works and it tastes good, then I'll eat it.
as a hack, like I can see it. I wouldn't do it, but like I can see it.
Yeah.
But then she sprinkles nerds on top of it, like the sugary sweet, like
Yeah.
crunchy candy nerds, and puts that on top of it.
No.
And like eats it, and it's like, oh my god, that pop of sweetness really helps. And I'm like, no, bitch. Like tomato is sweet. You have tomato sauce. You don't
Yeah.
need nerds on your spaghetti.
No, that is some like guys grocery games whammy ingredient bullshit. Like
Yeah.
that's not something you do on purpose. That's something that you like counteract with acid and spice because you're forced to use.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, that's what I think of when I think of this Gwyn putting orange Kool-Aid in her fucking tea.
Yeah, but it's obviously not really tea. It's more just like a sweet, very sweet drink that she makes. It kind of makes me think of apple cider. And I know it's not the same at all, but like the apple cider that we used to make at the store was a powder that when you like accidentally inhaled it, you were like, it was very Kool-Aid like. Like if you've ever inhaled Kool-Aid by mistake, the powdered Kool-Aid. Do you not have powdered Kool-Aid?
I've never no. That's not something that no.
Okay. Well, you can get powdered Kool-Aid and then you mix it with water and it's just Kool-Aid.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Okay. But
Yeah.
but
Same
like
with
that
Gatorade, powdered Gatorade, and you mix it.
what? You can get
Yeah.
powdered Gatorade.
Yeah.
Did not know that. I just the addition of the tea is what throws me off.
Yeah.
That to me seems weird. Although in saying that, I know that like if you have black tea, normally there's orange zest in it, like a
Mm-hmm.
good orange pico situation. So then the orange like drink the orange Kool-Aid like sort of makes sense, but at the same time it does not at all. Like to me that's it's blasphemous to add Kool-Aid to tea.
Yeah. We're going to make this. But so I also, how do you envision this happening? Like I envision there's a giant pot on the stove, like a cauldron, and she's throwing the shit in. That's what you
Yeah.
envision, do? Okay.
Yeah.
Just
100%.
checking.
Yeah.
Just checking. Yeah.
Anyway, apparently this is her breakup tea. Like she
Mm-hmm.
has breakup tea. So we sort of spoke very, very briefly in like the first episode of this book
Mm-hmm.
that Gwyn was hooking up with the mayor.
Yeah.
And the mayor kept like calling her about stuff and asking her opinion on stuff. But apparently her and the mayor are not working out. So she's drinking her breakup tea to make her feel better.
Which I kind of feel like Vivi's been very self-centered lately, that she hasn't even noticed anything until like her cousin is making this tea. It's like maybe,
Yeah.
and I know now's not the time that she's not going to be self-centered because it's obviously like down to the line, curse, love, all that bullshit. But I think I'd like in my head be like, ah, fuck. Like, how did I not notice any of this?
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess that is the end of that of like Vivi's POV. Then we jump ahead to the next morning. It's Rhys's POV. He's sad and he's lonely. He's sleeping on his side of the bed and he wants Vivi there. And I'm just like, go get her. Like, I just want to like,
Like,
I
it's
don't
your
know.
last night alive, just shaking him to
Yes.
death. Like,
Yes.
this is your last morning. Just go fucking get her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he feels like he probably screwed up last night by being optimistic with her being upset. Like
Mhm.
he was trying to be optimistic, but she was upset, and he feels like that was sort of a screw up for him. But like he said that he is optimistic because he believes in her. Like he has faith in her that she will save him. And again, I like how this is flipped on its head. Like normally it's the man that does the saving, and I really like how they put the ball in her court. She's the
Mhm.
one who has to save him. And I like that.
Yeah, agreed.
But he also said that like he feels like she has no faith in him, and this is sort of um like his big sort of sticking point, I guess I'll say. Like this is what upsets him the most about their relationship, is that he feels like she has absolutely no faith in him. Like she doesn't trust him to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's
Um
almost like she doesn't believe, and it's true, she doesn't believe that they could have a relationship, which is obviously an issue.
anyway, so like he sort of does a flashback to 9 years ago, and all he thinks of is that she wouldn't let him explain anything.
Mhm.
So, like, we spoke already that they broke up because he had to tell her, hey, I have to go back to Wales and cancel my betrothal.
Mhm.
And he apparently was clear in the fact that he said he was going to cancel it.
Yeah. Now I'm worried that we've read this wrong and like we don't I don't think that's the case, but now I'm like, was that actually what happened? Sorry.
That's actually what happened. And
Sorry.
she flipped her lid that he was engaged, which is different from betrothed.
Yes.
Anyway, so he just thinks back to that moment. Like, she didn't let him explain anything. She just literally assumed the worst
Mhm.
of him.
Yeah.
And he's still sort of hurt by that.
Which is fair. Like he should be.
Very fair. Yeah. Because she says, like, he knows that she loves him, but she doesn't trust him.
Yeah. Which isn't fair for a relationship when you're 19 and 20, when your father's trying to arrange a marriage for you. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
But, like, also, like, that is something they need to clear up and talk about. If he,
Oh, yes.
like, their relationship will never work if he honestly feels that she does not trust him.
Mhm.
Like, trust is huge in a relationship. We all know it. Everybody listening, you know trust is required. It's
Yeah.
a required component. So, like, if he feels that she can't trust him, how can they have a successful relationship?
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, his brother, Bowen, calls, the one who lives in Snowdonia, which, by the way, we Googled and we figured out, because at the first episode, we said that Snowdonia was a made up place
She's
and not
not.
and not real. She's not a made up place. It is a real place in Wales.
And we apologize
We
to
do.
everybody in Wales.
We apologize to the people of Wales. Snowdonia, I mean, for all the funny names, I say funny, I mean, for all of the interesting names you've got going on, Snowdonia is not one I would have expected,
Mhm.
but here we are. So, Snowdonia is a real place, people. I'm shoving it out there into the world.
Mhm.
So it is real. That's where he is. So he's not actually that far from home.
No, I know. I like Googled it. I was like, what the fuck? That's right next to where he's supposed. Like,
Yeah.
they're all like, he moved away.
He fucked off to Snowdonia, so like Rhys is somewhere in the middle because he lives in London. It's like, are you though? I feel like he's
Yeah.
just kidding himself here.
Yeah. And
And
I'd like to go to Snowdonia. Like, it's a national park, I think. And like,
yeah,
I haven't looked much at it, but when I Googled it, I was like, oh, that place, I would go there. It looks cool.
Yeah, it does look cool. Anyway, so his brother Bowen calls. It's the second oldest brother.
Yeah, because
Like
Rhys
it's
is
the
the youngest.
middle. Yeah, it's the middle brother. And Rhys, like, he needs to talk and vent. So he just tells him literally everything that happened with Vivi.
Yeah.
And Bowen, like, sort of sides with Vivi at this juncture. Because,
Interesting take.
well, I guess so. He says that, like, he says to Rhys, like, how do you think she can trust you? Which, by the way, we haven't confirmed with her.
Yeah.
Like, we don't actually know if she trusts him or not. She hasn't said anything contrary recently. Like, since they've rekindled their relationship, she hasn't really shown a hint that she doesn't trust him. They're just assuming.
Yeah.
So he says, like, you don't take anything seriously and you're always taking the piss and everything. And he says, like, Rhys sort of like says, well, but like, yeah, because it's better to live life on the surface without all the deeper stuff.
Mhm.
Come on. Like, that's silly.
Yeah. I do think like this is kind of like a throwback to his conversation with his other brother that you were talking about. Was it last week? That you were like that it turned super awkward because Reese kind of made it awkward, and you're like,
Yeah.
he's just trying to tell you that like
He doesn't
he
want anything
cares
to
about you,
happen to
he
you.
doesn't want you to die. And I do think that this is a real turning point in Reese as a person.
Yeah.
Someone finally telling him like stop fucking around,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Anyway, for some reason, this like epiphany of his brother telling him that he's always like taking the piss and stuff, which is like, I know, for our UK listeners, like, you get it. But if anyone who doesn't, taking the piss means like, I guess, to like not take things seriously and like joke around with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's how I interpret it.
Same.
But yeah, so like, I guess someone telling him that this is how he lives his life has given him this epiphany of like, oh, he loves Vivi. He always has. And he needs to go tell her. So like he rushes to Aunt Elaine's house. I mean,
It's what we all asked him to do, but
yeah. Anyway, so Aunt Elaine like answers the door, knows why he's there. I guess he looks urgent, like he looks like he wants to talk to Vivi. But she's at her own apartment preparing for tonight, and she essentially tells him like, you need to not interrupt her because she needs this time to prepare because tonight is going to be the most magic Vivi has ever done. So she needs like time to herself to gather herself, get ready, and just like be able to do the magic she has to do. So like she's like, wait until after. If you need to tell her you love her, like wait.
which I don't think is fair.
I also don't think it's fair. Like you would think that him telling her he loved her would sort of give her that extra oomph, that extra sort of zhuzh to like call to do the magic she needs to do, right? She's
Yeah.
saving someone who loves her.
But it's also like it's just such a shitty kind of thing to say because it's like there might not be an after for him.
Yes.
If Vivi fucks up, he's dead. How can you tell somebody who's going to die that they need to wait? I think it's.
I mean, I guess this is sort of another facet of like somebody else who has utter faith in Vivi, right? Like
That's true.
Aunt Elaine is not under any sort of like, she doesn't believe that Vivi is going to fail at all.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just going to give a shout out at this juncture to the cat I should say it right. Percival,
Okay.
who is the most valuable cat, MVC, because at this point, for some reason, he calls Rhys a dickbag.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Like, the cat is my favorite character. Like, if I
Agreed.
ever get another cat, I'm going to call it Sir Percival.
Also, I've started the next book,
Yes.
and the cat is in it and can still speak. So
Yes! Love it. It's
just
amazing.
just so you know.
Does he do gems still, like dick bag?
I haven't really gotten that far into it, so
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I love it. Shout out to the cat. So we then switch to Vivi in her apartment. She's in her bath, getting ready. So she plans to summon her ancestor and demand that she reverse the curse. I don't like the plan.
no, me neither.
Like, I don't think it's well thought out. Like, what? So, what? So, she's going to call upon her ancestor and
Hmm.
say, hey, reverse this curse. Like, do they have any plans in place for if the ghost says no?
Right? Guess not.
No. So, like, I just think it's not thought out well.
Not a good plan.
Not a good plan. So I guess she's sort of like deciding what she's gonna wear, and she decides she's gonna put on her favorite dress. And this dress is actually referred to quite a bit in this book because Rhys constantly thinks about how, oh, he never thought polka dots were sexy, but as soon as he sees Vivi in them, now they're the sexiest thing alive. So,
Uh-uh.
like, she's wearing her favorite dress, which is black with orange polka dots. And a part of me is just like, this book did it not come out in like 2019, 2020?
Yeah.
It just doesn't, I don't know,
It's
man.
it's kind of witchy though, I guess. It's
Maybe,
also this is a Halloween town and
I
blah blah
guess.
blah.
Anyway, so she puts on her favorite dress because it makes her feel powerful. It's black with orange polka dots.
Hmm.
Give it. Like, if she's gonna work it in that dress, work it in that dress, bitch.
And it works for a Reese.
It
Not
does
that
it.
that's what everybody is going for, but
No, but true, fair story. It works for Rhys, it works for her. So, like, let them live their lives, I guess.
yeah.
So she walks to the cemetery, and she finds Aylwood's grave in the back corner. Like, again, this isn't this woman, she was alive in like the 1600s, and yet they still can find her grave easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, like, that's how, it's handy.
Very handy.
um Elaine and Gwyn are already there, and Rhys sort of like shows up right after she does. She starts the spell, and we sort of like learn as she's starting the spell that summoning a ghost is different, and like it's hard in its own right, but she is trying to summon a trapped spirit, which
Hmm.
apparently is way harder.
Hmm.
Um Rhys is like looking on and watching her do this and says like he's afraid something is going to happen to her, and he's like he's prepared to haul her out of town if he can. And I'm like, you're going to
Just
haul
leave
her,
town. Just leave
like,
town.
dude, yes, just friggin' leave town. Just step outside. I know he's not going to because he loves her, but like, frig, just step outside the town lines and you're safe.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, so like he watches her as she cuts her palm, and like he hates that she has shed even a drop of blood, but it's a blood curse, and Vivi is a blood relative, so like she has to shed a little bit.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat, like that, snap, Vivi is possessed by Aylwood.
Very quick when Piper
Very quick.
died of this.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, Vivi is more powerful than she thinks she is,
Hmm.
unless it's just a matter of the familial connection. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So Rhys sort of said that, like, Vivi looks at him so coldly, he knew it wasn't Vivi. And apparently there was like a faint Welsh accent under her own voice. So, I wonder if that, like, the Welsh accent got him all hot and bothered.
Yeah, with her voice, maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, so Vivi / Aylwood tells the story of Griffith. he wanted the town to be his legacy. So, like, sort of built on his magic. But he didn't have enough magic. So he asked Aelwood to help him. She thought, like, she would lend him her magic.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he drained her dry and erased her from existence. So, like, typical white man.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, guys. I'm just being honest. And, like, again, we see this because he erected monuments in his own name.
Yeah.
Who erects a monument in your own name? Let your
A
ancestors
narcissist.
do that. Yes, a friggin' narcissist is ridiculous.
Mm.
So, like, he didn't acknowledge her at all, even, like, acknowledging her sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, he spread it around that she just died of a disease like a normal person. So, like, that pissed her off. Rightfully so.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so she heard, I guess, from the great beyond, Vivi asking to curse Rhys. So she did.
And she heard the last name and she was like, yeah,
Yeah,
fuck that.
the Penhallow. Like, because again, in the first section of this book, or first week, Vivi said in the prologue, I curse you, Rhys Penhallow.
Mm.
So she hears that Penhallow name. It's a unique name, so I think we can assume that not many, like, people other than descendants of Griffith would have it.
Yeah. Also, somebody cursing in her town that she can hear from
Yeah.
the grave.
Anyway, so she complied and helped to curse him.
Mm.
And she knew that, like, cursing him and then, like, the resulting curse on the town and the town's magic would sort of, like, complete her revenge, and the whole town is going to turn to dust and, like, disintegrate. So, like, Elwood's like, yes, the town that has only spoken about friggin' Griffin Penhallow for centuries as its founder is finally going to get what it deserves.
Exactly.
And, like, this is sort of a little bit unclear because, like, so Vivi as Aelwood is sort of speaking and saying all of this. And then all of a sudden she said, like, Aelwood says that Vivi asks her to spare him and the town. So, like, I'm wondering, like, is she having a mind conversation with the person she's possessing right now? Or did they work that into the spell beforehand that she, like, said in order to get Aelwood to possess her in the first place? I don't really know.
I feel like it was like her intention going into the spell was please spare him and spare the town. I said
Right.
spear like with a spare. But I feel like that was her intention going in, and that maybe matters more than
Oh, so you
you
think the
think.
intention translated into, like, manifestation?
Into like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Okay.
But
Anyway, so Aelwood is essentially like, this is what she wants me to do, but why should I? And
yeah,
Rhys sort of proclaims his love for Vivi. And he's like, I love her. I don't want her home taken from her. And Aelwood is like, what would you do if I spare the town but kill you? And he's like, fair deal. Like, shit happened to you. And like, makes sense. Like, sure, take me, spare the town so that Vivi can still live here. And I'm like,
yeah.
it's nice. It's a loving moment, but I don't think Vivi would appreciate it. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't think that he should decide for her what she
No.
wants spared. Like,
No.
it's her, she's going in. I don't think it's his choice, but I get he's trying to like save the town for her because he knows she loves it so much.
Yeah. Anyway, so Aelwood says that she sees inside Vivi's heart and knows that that Vivi loves Rhys too. So she's going to
Aw.
grant her request. She's going to save the town and save him.
Mhm.
So, like, he starts thanking her, like, profusely. I mean, like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because, like, his life is saved. And, like, I guess she's sort of gearing up to do some big magic. And all of a sudden, she sort of looks perplexed. And she's like, I'm not strong enough to actually break this curse. And I'm sorry, but it's too late. And then there's a shot of lightning. And all of a sudden, Vivi collapses. So, like, she's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't do it. I'm not strong enough." And then literally pieces out like the next second.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
It is, but I was like, we're in the last eighth of the book right now. Like, how are we resolving this? It like
Yeah.
if this had been the resolution, I would have been a bit like, that seemed easy.
Mm,
But I would have been like, okay, makes sense. Like Ghost took away its magic that it put in there.
yeah.
Fine.
Um, but yeah, so I guess it was sort of like I did find that it was sort of like um what do you call it? Like really high and really low. Like she's
Mm.
like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna grant your wish," and he's like, "Yes,
Thank you
I'm
so
gonna,
much.
yeah, I'm gonna live." And then like the next second, she's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't," and then like immediately leaves. So
Peace. Peace out.
he's like, "Oh my God." So Vivi wakes up after she's collapsed and they tell her like, "Oh, the spell worked. You did such an amazing job." But like obviously she doesn't remember what was said and what happened.
Yeah.
But they were like, "You did a great job. However, Elwyn didn't have the juice to break the curse. Like she didn't have the
Everyone's
power."
fucked.
Yeah, essentially. And Vivienne is like, "No, I'm not accepting that. Like I do not accept this outcome." And she's like, she's cold, she's tired, and she's drained from like possessing a ghost, but
Mm.
she's still trying to think of like how to fix the problem.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden she thinks of the ley lines, which we visited in the second week. Vivi is like thinking that like those ley lines that Rhys was supposed to charge, because they're Griffin's magic, that's why Rhys had to charge them. But technically, they don't just have Griffin's magic in them. They have um Aelwood's magic too,
Yeah.
which is her ancestor. So maybe her, Elaine, and Gwyn could do something.
Hmm.
So they head to the Leyline Sexy Cave.
Really though. Really. And let me just say, fucking Vivi takes
Yeah.
them all there without saying beforehand, giving them a warning about what may happen.
Yes. And that's what made she got mad at Rhys about that in the beginning. She was mad that he didn't tell her it could have been a sexy cave, even though he didn't know it was a sexy cave.
Exactly.
And yet, same thing. She does not tell her aunt and her cousin that it's a sexy cave. Although, in fairness, she makes Rhys wait outside the cave. So I feel like that got rid of any. Can you imagine if, like, Aunt Elaine started feeling sexy towards him?
Oh my god, I can't.
Yeah, it would have been hilarious.
Mm.
Anyway, so they go in and the magic doesn't feel right anymore. Like the ley lines are sludgy and like reddish. They're not like a clean, bright purple.
Mhm.
So the three women, like girl power, they form a circle and they start pushing their magic into those ley lines to clean them up. And they sort of describe it as like pushing a boulder uphill, but like very sort of like unceremoniously, I'll say, like just sort of like uneventfully, they do it. And the lines
Mhm.
run purple again. So like they've cleaned this curse just by pushing their magic into it. And like they're all ecstatic. Like they're, yeah, we did it. Like they're very happy. So like
Yeah. I
you would think what?
No, I was just going to say like I wasn't sure that Rhys was saved at this point. Like I don't think that just fixing the ley lines is going to stop a curse.
Apparently it does though. Anyway, what?
No, I was gonna, which is good, obviously. It's good that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, no, if that was like, I'm annoyed that, like, why didn't they think of this? Well, I get why they didn't think of this first, but, like, anyway.
Mm.
So, like, so this is, she's on a high. She feels powerful and great. Like, she saved the love of her life and she saved the town she loves so much. You would think this would be a really great moment for her and Rhys to go somewhere romantic and profess their love for each other, considering Rhys already knows that she loves him because Aelwyd told him so when she was possessing Vivi anyway. So, like, Rhys gets it.
Mhm.
So you would think this would be a great moment for them to go profess their love for one another and agree to get married.
Yeah.
So, I guess Vivi is driving, I think.
Yeah, it's her car.
Yeah.
Her car, because his car is still a rental that's fucked
Yeah.
up.
So Vivi drives and she stops them where they met at the summer solstice. Like, she stops them at that, like, the field. I think it, like, edges on a sort of cliffy thing. It's like, anyway.
Mhm.
So she sort of repeats the exact words he said to her 9 years ago. I think it had something to do with, like, may I kiss you or something like that. So she says the same thing, like, may I kiss you? And he likes that. He's like, oh, she remembers. And, like, this is a loving moment for us because she's recreating our first, like, sort of encounter. And then they, like, have sex in the car,
Mhm.
which is sort of like, I mean, you guys are adults. You have a house.
Both of you have houses.
Yes. Like, go do it in a bed. Like, why do you have to do it, like, in a weird position in the car?
Also, if it's if it's because that's where you guys met, then go roll around on the ground. I'd prefer that than a car.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Mm.
Yes. If you're going to do it outside.
On the roof
Any
of the, not the roof, the hood of the car, the
The
roof
hood
of
of
the
the
car.
car.
Get on
That's
the
a great
fucking roof of the car.
Anyway, so after they have sex, he is like, oh, this is it. She's going to tell me that, like, he's going to tell her, that he loves her because, remember, this is what he wanted to do earlier, but Elaine said, wait. But before he gets the chance to tell her that he loves her, she tells him she's going to miss him. And he sort of understands that this was her way of saying goodbye by taking him to this spot. Like, that means something to both of them. And all of us, like, this is something that I don't get. So just because she's like, oh, I'm going to miss you when you go back home, why can't he then say, no, I love you, darling. I want to be with you and stay with you? Why does he have to not say that all of a sudden? Why does her saying, I'm going to miss you, all of a sudden mean that he can't profess his love?
It doesn't, but it does in this book.
Ugh.
I know. And like we're very near the end. At this point you're like, where's the happily ever after? There's like 10 pages left. What the fuck is happening?
Yes. Anyway, so they go back to Elaine's house. She invites him in, but he says, like, he has to go home tomorrow to brief his father on everything that happened. And she then realizes at this point that, like, he is full on, like, leaving. He's going back to Wales. And she's thinking to herself, this is why they don't work. Because he has to go and she has to stay.
She's so negative. Like,
yes. And, like, why can't they just have a conversation? Like, a real conversation about their feelings.
But they never do. Like, this book ends and there is never a conversation about, oh, like, we love each other. Let's figure something out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anyway, she just says, like, oh, him and I want two different things. And that's why they can't be together. Because they want different things. So, like, that's it. He leaves. It's not the end of the book, but, like, he goes. He's gone.
If it was the end of the book, you would be having a temper tantrum.
Yeah, no, I would have been like, why did you make us read this book? This was terrible. I hate
you would have
I would have refused.
Yeah. You would have came to my house and thrown it in my face.
Yes, I would have. I flat out, 100%.
Because I think the first week we started, you hadn't finished the whole book. You
Mm-mm.
had just read part of it. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But if that was the end, you would have just come over and been like, "No fucking way, reading a new one, figure it out." Like, not figure it out, but we would have had to figure it out because we would not have read this book.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So he's gone. 2 months later, we're into January, new semester. Vivi is unhappy with the snow, aren't we all? She sort of
Yeah.
like talks to a friend, and we learn that after like the whole thing with the ley lines, um, Dean Arbuthnot, the witchy dean, asks Vivi to take on a couple of witch classes in addition to her human classes. And like, while I appreciate this, it's a really cute way for her to like sort of start um exploring her more witchy side. I still wouldn't consider her qualified to teach witch classes.
No, unless the witch classes are like, we don't know shit about how this town was formed. So
Yeah.
maybe ignore the rest of what we were
Yeah.
teaching for years. Other
Yeah.
than that, like, no.
Or like, I don't know, how to put a witch in a how to put a ghost in a Eurydice candle 101.
Mm, I guess.
I don't know. Anyway, I just like how to cast curses. I don't know, man. I don't think. Anyway,
No.
so
How to have sexual tension in a closet.
yes. She mentions that Rhys sort of sent her this like history of Wales book because he knows that it's her specialty and whatever. Um, she goes to the magic side of campus to like the magic classes, and I guess she has to teach a class or something. And she's passing by a bunch of the offices with names on them, and all of a sudden she sees our Penhallow on one of the doors.
What?
Ooh, I know. And she thinks it must be someone else, but like, who the hell else's name is our Penhallow?
Nobody.
Nobody. Such a weird name. So like she's saying to herself, "Oh, that must be somebody else," but she still opens the door and goes in the office.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just can't. Anyway, so the office is mostly empty. She says it's a lot like her office, so it's kind of cozy and like there's a bookshelf and a desk and whatever. And she says a lot of it is empty, except for there's a desk. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, like she opens the door and automatically she sees who else but Rhys sitting there at the fucking desk. And he's grinning.
Of course he is.
But like what? No contact for 2 months and then he comes back grinning?
Also, he just like was like, I'm going to put this plaque on my door and she'll come crawling to me. Did we learn nothing from you almost dying and then being upset the morning after not being with her? Like, did we learn nothing from this whole period that you're going to go, 2 months without speaking to each other, other than he sent a book? Maybe they spoke to each other. It doesn't seem like it. But
No, it doesn't.
I don't get it. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
No. Anyway, so he goes over to her and he tells her that he moved here and he started teaching some classes because he's so miserable without her in Wales that he couldn't stand it. Ugh.
Yeah.
So he declares his love for her and tells her that if she needs to be there in Graves Glen, then so does he.
Ugh.
And like, he didn't even want to be a teacher in the first place. Like, he has made not one solitary comment about wanting to teach.
No, not at all.
And like, I don't care who you are, man. Teaching is a hard gig, regardless of whether you're in like primary elementary, junior high, or like intermediate, or like middle school, or secondary, like high school, or like friggin' college or university. Teaching is hard. All those who are going to tell me that I get summers off, I work for those summers off. So, suck,
Yeah.
suck it.
No, definitely. It just doesn't make sense why couldn't he just do his job that he always does from there?
But, like, apparently he still is. Like, they do say that.
Yes.
She's like, "Oh, what about your travel business?" And he's like, "Oh, it's still going." So, like, why does he need also the job as a teacher?
I feel like it's just so that he could entrap her into coming to his office. Like, I just
That's the only reason.
and now they can have sex in their offices and in the library. So
Hot.
that's
That's true. Yeah, hot.
yeah, that's the only reason.
Yeah. So, anyway, so he says, like, he loves her and, like, she needs to be here, so he's gonna be here. And then she responds with, she loves him too, but then she also says, like, I wanna go to Wales. Like, I don't want to entrap you here. I want us to have both worlds. So it sort of insinuates that they're gonna spend some time in Wales, some time in Georgia. Is that where Graves Glen is again?
Yes,
Georgia?
yeah,
I think so. So she's like, "We're gonna have the
yeah.
best of both worlds." And that's it. That is it for this
Why
book.
couldn't they have had this conversation 2 months ago?
I don't know.
Like, I can't with it. I'm like, you could have had this conversation 2 months ago and not had a break in this. He wouldn't have had to become a professor. Like, I feel like he's maybe doing a lecture maybe twice a week or some bullshit. Like, I don't even feel like he's really doing anything. I feel like he's
No.
gonna go in, do maybe twice a week thing, and then be like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
in
get it.
fairness, like, he does sort of admit, because she's like, "How the hell did you get this?" And he was like, "Turns out being named for the university has its perks." So, like, he essentially admits that he got the job based on, like, who he is, like, not his
Which is
credentials.
which is a shitty thing because we just found out that his ancestor was a piece of shit. Like,
Yes.
I don't think that's something that you should be like bragging around with. Like,
No.
yeah, you got this job because it's named after you, but also your ancestor was a shitty person.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the Ex Hex.
Yeah.
We made it.
We did make it. And it's October. Happy
Yeah.
October holidays.
So, what are your I know we've sort of been talking about it this whole time. What are your
Yeah.
overall impressions?
Um, I did enjoy the book. I the ending I felt like should have been drawn out longer, I think. Like there was 2 points where you're like the book is going to end, this is going to fix the conflict. Like obviously you knew he wasn't going to die. But there were 2 points where you're like, okay, this is going to end the conflict. This is going to end the conflict. And I feel like they were too close together. There wasn't enough about them. And then this whole 2 months after, I think they should have just had a conversation. Also, if he left and she was sad, she should have been like texting him or messaging him and being like, "Oh, maybe I'll come visit you at some point." And he'd be like, "Yeah, that'd be fun. Like, you can come here at this point." I feel
Yeah.
like it's just not realistic that you would just cut off communication for 2 full months.
Yeah.
But that being said, I did really enjoy the book. I I liked a lot of the takes on witchiness, and I don't know. I did really like it, and I liked the two people. I liked that he was often the one making the dumb mistakes, and like it wasn't her making idiotic moves to make sure that there was a conflict or anything. So I did enjoy that. What about you?
I mean, similar comments. I feel like it seems like we criticize this book a lot. Um, but like it's sort of just our nature. I agree. I really liked the book. It was for a book that I haven't read before, and again, I've spoken before about how I don't like taking chances on new books. I'd rather just
Yeah.
reread books that I've read before because I know I like them.
Hmm.
So, for a book that I've not read before, I actually really did like it. I do feel similarly to you. Like there are certain aspects of it that I wish like might have been a little bit different, and there are like several sort of plot points brought up that are not resolved.
Mhm.
So, like, I sort of feel like those could have been tidied up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but like overall, it was a fast read. It kept my attention. Like there weren't
Mhm.
really many parts where I was like, "Oh, come on, just get to the next bit." Like they were all quite like all pertinent information, right?
Yeah.
So, I liked it. It was different to what we normally read.
Yeah. I like in that vein, I have started the next book. Like I'm going to continue reading the series. I do want to know what happens with other people in this world, and I'm hoping that some of the little
Yeah.
things that came up will get wrapped up. Like some of the things that we learn about magic and some of that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that we'll learn more about it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, well, I think that is it for this week, really. Um, if you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on anything you heard in any of our episodes, or if you have any book suggestions, you can email us at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com. And be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Coffee and Co Read.
Yeah. So, guys, I have the pleasure of announcing our book for next week. It is one of Catherine's favorite books. We are going to be reading Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo. It is, I guess, I'm going to say it's a companion piece to the Shadow and Bone series, like sort of set in the same world. So we are going to be reading chapters 1 to 7. So make sure you follow along. And if you're enjoying our little chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you find content. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you on the next page.